An easy summer hush still clung to the lawns of Kensington Palace when reporters began filing through its wrought iron gates, expecting little more than another polished charity photo call from the ever-dutiful Prince and Princess of Wales. The media pack had rehearsed its short list of likely highlights: a poised statement on children's literacy from Prince William, a radiant smile from Princess Catherine, perhaps a shy wave from Prince George, and a quick curtsy from Princess Charlotte before everyone dispersed for afternoon deadlines. It felt, in other words, like the sort of well-choreographed routine that keeps the royal machine ticking while the British public half listens over a cup of tea. What unfolded instead will be studied for decades, as the instant the House of Windsor's centre of gravity swung decisively from the reign of Charles III to the rising constellation of William, Catherine, and their children. Cameras clicked into a sudden hush when the Prince of Wales stepped forward with neither notes nor teleprompter, his expression steady, almost solemn. Catherine took her place at his side, serene, chin lifted, a palm resting protectively at Charlotte's shoulder, while George, taller now and visibly thoughtful, chose a posture both respectful and watchful. Only a handful of seasoned royal correspondents understood in that frozen second just how dramatically the script was about to change. William opened, not with policy or small talk, but with a tribute to his late grandmother. He spoke of Queen Elizabeth II's unshakable devotion to service, her talent for quiet guidance, her belief that the crown endures only when it bends to the needs of the age without breaking under them. Those lines alone would have satisfied the day's coverage: polite homage, a reliable photo for the next morning's front pages, but then the air moved beyond commemoration to action. "We honor the past best," he said, voice carrying across the gardens, "when we let its example breathe new life into the present." With that, he turned fractionally toward his daughter. In one fluid gesture, he invited Princess Charlotte to step forward. The 12-year-old dipped a measured curtsy, her cornflower blue coat catching a breeze, her expression composed in a way that recalled her great-grandmother's first wartime broadcast more than 80 years earlier. "Beginning this autumn," William continued, "Charlotte will undertake a program of shadow engagements, learning firsthand what service looks like on hospital wards, in classrooms, on the parade ground, and in the villages we treasure across every corner of the United Kingdom." A collective gasp rippled through the assembled press. It was not unheard of for royal children to attend an occasional engagement, but to announce an explicit training rota, months, perhaps years, ahead of schedule, was breathtaking. The magnitude of that declaration grew clearer by what followed. There was no simultaneous message from Buckingham Palace, no video link of King Charles offering paternal blessing. He and Queen Camilla were, conspicuously, elsewhere. For a family that choreographs hierarchy down to the order in which cars arrive at the curb, the symbolism of an absent monarch during such a seismic announcement could scarcely be overstated. William was, in effect, assuming public stewardship of the monarchy's next generation in real time, and doing so without waiting for the traditional nod from the sovereign. Inside the palace compound, aides traded frantic messages. Some reported seeing Camilla stride back and forth in a private drawing room, railing at what she viewed as an unsanctioned power play. Senior courtiers loyal to Charles fretted over protocol and precedent. Had the king authorized this? Was Charlotte's status now altered in some formal way? Answers were not immediately forthcoming, and outside those gilded corridors the country began digesting the sight of a young princess stepping into the limelight with the composure of a seasoned diplomat. Public reaction bordered on euphoric. Social media feeds lit up with side-by-side photos of Charlotte's poised half-smile set against childhood images of Diana and very early footage of Elizabeth II, drawing the line of continuity so vital to royal mystique. By nightfall, pollsters were astonished to see approval spikes not simply for William and Catherine, long accustomed to sky-high ratings, but for the monarchy itself, which had sagged under the weight of recent scandals and generational fatigue. Comment writers across the political spectrum marveled that a single, carefully staged afternoon had done more to re-energize royal sentiment than a year of coronation pomp. Yet within Buckingham's private apartments the mood was far colder. For Charles, who had waited more than 70 years for the crown and then found himself hampered by health worries and lukewarm public affection, the prospect of being eclipsed by his son's charisma was a wrenching irony. Those close to the king say he respects William's judgment yet chafes at how quickly the headlines shifted from His Majesty's new era to speculation about an early regency, or worse, calls for a streamlined succession that might hasten the prince's formal ascendance. Camilla's frustration was reportedly sharper, rooted less in constitutional anxiety than in personal history. Having fought decades for acceptance, she perceived Charlotte's sudden elevation as a reminder that true affection still flows most readily to the late Diana's descendants. Princess Anne, custodian of protocol, and perhaps the family's most indefatigable worker, is said to have counseled Charles that William's gambit risked breeding confusion over the line of authority. Yet even Anne, according to insiders, privately admires Charlotte's natural aptitude for public life and recognizes that the monarchy must cultivate relevance among younger Britons before Republican sentiment hardens further. Through the swirl of reaction, Catherine moved with outward calm, though courtiers attest to an unblinking focus behind the scenes. Those who have briefed her policy sessions report she asks forensic questions about mental health metrics, literacy rates, early childhood data, subjects where she intends Charlotte to build expertise rather than merely cut ribbons. It was Catherine who commissioned discreet polling months ago to gauge appetite for a more prominent role for royal daughters. It was Catherine who began inviting senior Commonwealth officials to private lunches in Kensington, signaling that the Wales household was preparing to shoulder a heavier diplomatic portfolio. And it is Catherine, friends say, who now drafts long-range strategies in the quiet hours after school bedtime, mapping engagement schedules that dovetail George's schooling, Charlotte's new apprenticeship, and Louis's gentle introduction to charitable life. King Charles's options at this juncture are few. He can resist, risking public perception of a monarch out of step with his own era's hunger for fresh leadership, or he can embrace the generational pivot and frame it as his deliberate bequest, thus preserving dignity while ensuring continuity. Early signs suggest he is choosing the latter. In recent days, palace briefings have begun casting William and Catherine's expanded remit as evidence of a family team, approach Charles supposedly endorsed from the start. Whether that spin convinces skeptics will depend on how visibly the king participates in upcoming joint engagements, and how gracefully Queen Camilla accompanies a narrative that offers her no starring role. Meanwhile, the world has stored away the image that matters: a 12-year-old princess in a blue coat stepping into duty decades sooner than anyone predicted, a father staking public ground for a re-energized monarchy, and a mother whose strategic patience has repositioned a 1,000-year-old institution for its next act. However statutes may read, influence has already migrated toward the Wales household. Constitutional scholars can debate mechanics, but ordinary Britons have sensed in their marrow that the baton is mid-air. Power in a hereditary system seldom changes hands with explosions or formal resignations. It glides, almost imperceptibly, until one day reality outpaces protocol. On that June afternoon, beneath fluttering chestnut leaves, the glide became visible. The old order continues, but the new one now commands the eye and the affection of a nation.